of Genesis, and you got to say that Joseph represents the reality of life, because Joseph lived a roller coaster life, and I think many of us believe that we have also lived roller coaster lives. It's real easy to do. We have our highs and we have our lows, and sometimes they come pretty close together, just like a roller coaster. In chapter 37, Joseph, the youngest, with his multicolored coat, is hated by his brothers, sold as a slave. In chapter 39, we find that he's the head man, the top honcho. He's Potiphar's right hand. He has been entrusted with everything. In the same chapter, he's disgraced and put in jail. And verse 21 is a very key verse of chapter 39. But the Lord was with Joseph. You know, you heard me say it, I think, yesterday, John 16:33. In the world you'll have tribulation. Be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. He'll be there with us and see us through whatever valleys and the roller coaster life that we have. Well, today we're going to be looking at chapter 40. It's quite an interesting chapter. We start out with a cupbearer and a baker who have offended the king of Egypt, the Pharaoh himself. Now, we don't know what they did to offend him. We don't know if they burnt the toast or if the wine was sour or whether it was a really bad meal or whether they did something terrible, because it just doesn't tell us what they did. But they were thrown into jail, and it turned out it was the very same jail that Joseph was in. God arranged it. You call those divine appointments. In verses 5 through 8, we find Joseph caring for them, taking care of them, and spending special attention to them. They both have a dream, and they don't understand the dream. It seems it was symbolic. They came to Joseph, and Joseph said, I think I can interpret your dream for you. The cupbearer says, I saw a vine and 3 branches, budding of grapes. I squeezed the grapes into the Pharaoh's cup and handed it to him. Joseph says, I can interpret that for you. That's in 3 days, the Pharaoh will restore you to your former position. Please remember me. And then the baker in verse 16 says, I had a dream too. I saw 3 baskets. There was bread in the baskets. One was on my head, and birds were eating from the one on my head. Joseph said, I can interpret your dream for you too. Now, I have to believe that for a few minutes at least, the baker believed that he was going to get a very similar thing to what the cupbearer got. In 3 days, Pharaoh will restore you to your former position. But that's not what Joseph said. Joseph said, in 3 days, Pharaoh will hang you by your neck, and birds will eat your flesh. 2 totally different interpretations for 2 entirely different dreams. In verse 20, it says 3 days went by. The Pharaoh was having a big birthday party and a feast, and he did exactly what Joseph had said would happen for the cupbearer and for the baker. The cupbearer was restored to his previous position. The baker was hanged, and birds ate his flesh. Now, there's 5 very important applications that we can get from this particular section of Scripture. Life is often like a roller coaster. God never promised it to be smooth sailing all the way. And lots of times in life, we have those mountaintop experiences and we have those crashing valleys. we need to remember that God is with us through it all. When Joseph was in jail, it says God was right there with him, prospering him even in jail. But it couldn't have been a very pleasant experience being in jail. Second lesson I think we can learn is the Lord can bless us anywhere we are. We don't have to be the pastor of a church. We don't have to be the lead teacher in a Sunday school. We don't have to be a mayor or a governor or a president. God can bless us wherever we are. Third lesson that I think is really important for us is that when we think about interpretations, we think about how God supplies the wisdom that we need spiritually. He's the one that opens up the scriptures for us. For those of you that are doing the walk through the Bible with the following Bible in a year, a chronological Bible, or whichever plan you're using, you recognize that oftentimes God just opens your mind to wonderful understanding. And that's what he did with Joseph. Fourth, God is always completely right. These prophecies that Joseph made were exactly fulfilled. And that's the way all of God's prophecies are exactly fulfilled. Now, that should give you great joy, and it should also give you some real concern. You see, he says that if you belong to him, there's a place already reserved for you in heaven. Your name is in the Lamb's Book of Life, and nobody can blot it out. But if you really understand that all of his prophecies are true and completely will be fulfilled, then there's got to be a little concern when you start to read the book of Revelation. When you see there is coming a final climactic judgment of the world and of the people in the world. And you have to understand that one day he's going to separate people like sheep from goats, those that are going to heaven and those that are not. There's going to be a judgment. We're going to be judged according to what we've done. And if our if our names are not in the book of the Lamb, we're going to spend an eternity in hell. Finally, in fifth, in verse 23, you got to remember that the cupbearer forgot Joseph. Joseph had made a special point after he interpreted his dream. Remember me. And I think it's important for us to remember that many times people will forget what we've done for them. I think many times we are hurt and offended because people do forget the things that we may have done for them. And they take us for granted. They seem to not even care that at one time we were a great friend to them and that we helped them in many ways. Don't be one of those kind of people. Remember people that help you. Remember to be able to return the best that you can, the kindness that they showed to you. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.